Welcome, welcome. So whoever is showing up to this live session, please say hello so I can know that you are here. Otherwise, there's no other way for me to know that who is joining in or not. I'm going to wait for a few moments before for others to join. And I hope my voice is audible enough. So just let me know in the comments. Hi guys. Hi Swapnil. Hi Mohammed Zishan. So please say hello so I know that you are here. And if I'm audible, just write down you're audible or something like that so I know that I'm audible enough. And within a few moments, we'll start this really, really amazing and crisp live session. Thank you, Priyanka. Appreciate that. So let's begin. Welcome everybody who is joining. And we will start the session with a little prayer. So join me in this 2 3 line prayer that I want to start the session with. Dear universe, God, spirit, higher power, help me deliver my best in this next 20 minutes or so. Help me serve the people who are joining in this live session or as in recording, and lead us to where you think it's best for us in the next 20 minutes. Thank you so much. So, welcome everyone who has joined us so far. The topic for today's session is 7 ways you can use your emotional quotient, your emotions, for better professional relationships. Okay. So, are you guys with me? Say yes so I know we can move forward. You must have seen some people in your workplace, your colleagues, your classmates, your relatives who always have a lot of friends, a lot of people around them. So, you enter a room and you see one person having a lot of people around them. Have you seen such a situation? At the same time, you must have seen certain people who are always lone, not lonely, but staying alone, or some people whom others don't, go to in general. Have you been to a situation? Have you seen those people in your life, in your relatives, in your workplace, in your school, college, wherever? Have you seen those people? So, how could we use our emotions to develop amazing professional relationships? So here's the deal. Personal and professional relationships have the same fundamentals. It's relationships, right? It's a relational thing. But when we talk about professional relationships, it's in different context. Are you getting me? Right? So here are 7 ways on how we can use our emotions for creating amazing professional relationships. All right. So number one, and it's the basis of life coaching, therapy, and so many other things. It's deep listening. And here's what I usually do. So when I'm having sessions, because all of us have a habit of speaking when the other person is talking, and only a few of us actually listen. All right. How to deep listen? Bite your tongue inside your mouth so you don't speak immediately. All right. Or the second thing would be, when we do deep listening, we don't advise anyone. So I have a no advice policy. I don't offer any advice unless the other person asks for it or I first take permission for it. So somebody like my colleague, my classmate is asking, telling me, what happened to them. Like boss is doing this, or teacher is doing that, and stuff like that. And what's my first response is, Do you need advice on that? Like, are you looking for any counsel, or just listen to them? And there will come a time, either they will say thank you so much for being there, thank you so much for listening, or they will say please tell me what can I do. All right. So when they ask, offer advice. Otherwise, just listen. So in today's world, we have so many people talking to us on social media. There are no listeners on social media, right? And only a few people who listen others. So be the listener and you will find amazing relationships. Who's with me? Say yes in the comments. So let's move forward to the second way, second method, how we can use our emotion for better emotional relation, for better professional relation. All right. So the second one, and it's a relatively, uh, what's the word to use here? A little difficult one because a lot of people don't know how to do this. Create boundaries. And how do you create boundaries? So you know how or why we have doors in front of our homes? Because that's a boundary. Nobody is invited to cross that door unless you are invited, right? Nobody is allowed to cross that door. So that's the purpose of creating boundaries. And it's for our own safety. We create boundaries to protect our own self, right? So, what are the sentences that people can use to create boundaries? I'm not really comfortable discussing this. Or would it be okay if we don't discuss this? No, I think we shouldn't discuss this. I don't want to discuss this. So a lot of Instagram quotes will tell you that no in itself is a sentence, but I personally believe it's a little disrespectful to just say no. Although you can say no, you have free will, free speech, and everything, but giving a sentence that, you know what, no, I don't think so. I'm not really comfortable in this. Just that one sentence shows that, I'm not just abruptly denying your request or whatever you're doing, but I have a reason that I'm not comfortable, right? So this is how boundaries look like. I'm really not comfortable gossiping about my boss, or I'm not really comfortable talking about other women in the workplace, or I'm not really comfortable using those words in my workplace. So would it be okay if you don't say those words in front of me? Or I'm not available to work on weekends. That's another boundary. I'm not available to work past 8, right? So this is how we create boundaries. But to create boundaries, we need to be self-aware. I'm sorry, I'm going to sneeze. To create boundaries, we need to be self-aware, right? And this is where our EQ, emotional quotient, comes into place. We need to be self-aware, like, where do I need boundary? Is it making sense? Say yes. Say yes in the comment box. And if you guys have any questions, drop in the comment box and I'll get to it whenever I can. All right. Now let's move to the third point, gratitude plus appreciation. So you must have seen there is one person in your school, in your college, in your um, workplace, in your society, your relatives, who always has a lot of solutions, right? How to be a solution machine, how to be a person who always has solutions to things, how to be that. The answer is start practicing gratitude. Make a list of 3, 5, 10 things every single day that I'm grateful for X, I'm grateful for Y, I'm grateful for Z. So make a list. Practice gratitude. What is going to happen is within first 3 to 6 months, when you do it every single day without a break, your mind, the neurons, they will rewire and you will become a solution machine. I've done that to myself, I guess 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, when I went through depression and anxiety. And I didn't do it, consciously, like, I was so smart that I did it. It was not like that. My therapist recommended me that Dipanshu, you should try this. I was really hopeless and it worked well for me. So the number 3 one is gratitude plus appreciation. Appreciate your boss. Appreciate the salary that you're getting on time. Appreciate the manager who is not overloading you with work on weekends. right? All of us have so many different ways on how to feel gratitude. Okay. I actually have a 10-day course on gratitude only. So if you want to work with that course, it's really not a expensive thing. It's, I guess, for 1500 or 2000 rupees or something. So talk to me. I'll send it to you. Now, fourth point, build charisma. So you'll notice when you enter a room and there are, like, let's say 10 people in it, one person looks smart. And it's not only because the clothes they are wearing, but the way they are sitting, the way they are talking with others, the way they are behaving. So the way you look, the way you behave also creates the fundamentals or foundations of the kind of relation you'll have with others. Okay. So that doesn't mean you have to wear really high-end clothing. Doesn't mean that. What it means is you need to you need to dress according to the situation, you need to behave according to the situation, and you need to talk according to the context, right? So joke, the way one joke worked in one meeting may not be working in the second meeting based on the audience, right? So build the charisma. The fifth one, and it's a really, really underrated habit. And I learned it from a monk, a Tibetan Buddhist monk. His name is Karma Yeshe Rabge. It's a really underrated habit that I don't see anyone talking about. The habit is daily reflection. So every night before sleeping, asking yourself what went well today, what didn't go well today, and what will I change tomorrow. We do not become masters by practicing over and over again. That's only half of the equation. We become masters at something when we practice something, plus when we reflect on how our practice has been. Okay. So I'll tell you what it did to me. I started this habit in September last year when I met that monk, and then I shifted to my hometown after 5 or 6 years. And it's a little tough to be with family when you're living with them after so many years, right? So I have a younger sister, and I remember when I was writing this daily reflection every single day. For 2 consecutive days, I wrote, I didn't behave well with my sister. I didn't behave well with my sister today. And guess what happened the third day? I knew the moment I was going to misbehave again, I knew that, what, I'm being triggered and it's not something I want to do. So I'll behave maturely. Okay. So this is what daily reflection does. A lot of us are living on autopilot, and daily reflection helps us pause, reflect, and change ourselves every single day. All right. Say yes if you're with me, and we'll move on to the sixth point. Oh, by the way, what will this daily reflection do to your professional setting? You will be able to keep a track record of how other people are behaving with you, or how other people are behaving in the meeting in the whole context. So you will be able to behave appropriately. All right. Great. Amazing. So the sixth point, connect and serve. And here's what I have started doing for the past few months. Every time I start working or the moment I wake up, the first question I ask myself is, who can I help today? Who can I help today? So talk to more people, connect with more people, and connect those people with each other. So this one person who is in marketing, but he wants to switch to, let's say, sales, and this sales head. So here's the key: always ask permission. Ask permission to this person and ask permission to this person. Ask permission to the sales head. I have a friend who is in marketing but who's willing to switch to sales. Would you be interested to take his interview or guide him or mentor him? If he says yes, connect both of these people. So always and always connect with more people, have a network, and have them network with each other. All right. And to connect with these people, you need to master your emotions. You need to make sure that you are emotionally mature, you're emotionally well, right? So, the seventh point, and it is the huge point which I think a lot of us need because I've seen it coming again and again in my coaching sessions. Develop self confidence. So, self confidence means the relation I have with myself plus the relation I have with others. What it means is we need to first get comfortable in our own skin. Now, I talk in depth about this in my private coaching sessions. I've had clients who were at 3 by 10 confidence and they worked with me for 2 months. And in those 2 months, from 3 by 10 confidence, the confidence got to 8 by 10 within just 2 3 months. All right. So I see that you are asking questions. I'm going to go to them in a moment. So if you're interested to work on your self-confidence, because I know how self-confidence can be the factor from a 15% hike to a 20 or 25% hike. Okay. So if you want to work on self-confidence, drop me a message and let's help you get started. Okay. So I have a few questions. Let me go through them. What are the fundamentals to be a good friend? So number one, be helpful, be resourceful, don't be judgmental, be more compassionate, be more kind, be more loving. Help them feel seen and heard. That is what most of us are looking for, to be seen and heard by someone. If you want to be a good friend, make them feel understood, make them feel heard, make them feel seen. Who can I help today? Sounds real compassion for humankind. I like it the most. Thank you so much. And by just practicing it for less than a month, you will see a huge shift in yourself plus the people around you, right? And I'm saying this with 100% surety because it has worked for me, number one. Number two, it has worked for the 500 people I've worked with so far. So it's not just a hypothesis, it's not a theory, it's an actual practice that brings results. Deep listening, for sure. Not advising, not talking, but just saying, yes, I understand. I hear you. That must be tough. I'm so sorry you went through that. Just saying those words when somebody is telling you a hard story will change the way they behave with you. They will feel more closer to you. So I'm glad all of us you came, showed up to this session. Again, I'm there for you. If you guys need any help, drop me a message. Let's have a conversation. I'm always ready to serve my community. Okay. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you again really, really soon in one of these live sessions. For now, bye bye.